Go around most of the time, Bert.
There.
They ran up the hill. Did you get my email? Did you get my email? My email's up. Oh, check it. Morning. This is mine. Oh, here's the crew. Here's the crew. You're the ones that are keeping us from getting elected.
You know, I could get to the point where I remember faces. Yeah. With the names.
I know, I see it standing up there. I'm not talking here. What do you say, Bill? It's good to see you. Thanks for coming this morning. I love it. Good for you. Thank you.
So, Will, we're here?
Yes. The group is up here. Maybe ice cream and pizza later. Oh.
Let's go. I'm actually I'm London and I'm on Hindu. Guys?
Good job. What's the seat? She's still wet. Good job, Awesome. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Will Valier, Command Sergeant Major, United States Army, retired, and Veteran Service Officer for the town of Reading. It is my honor to serve you as your Master of Ceremonies today, Memorial Day observances. Today we gather as a community to remember, honor the men and women of the United States Armed Forces who gave their lives in service to our nation. At this time, we present the colors, remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. Please remain standing for the invocation. Father Stephen Zukas, Navy.
Please uncover. Loving Creator, today our hearts remember those who have gone before us while serving our beloved nation or after doing so. Though we may not know every name and face, we know that you know every one of them and the ultimate sacrifice they have made on behalf of their country. They gave their own lives. On this day, we ask that you remind us of the great costs they paid and the privileges that they have afforded us. We think of their family members and friends and the grief that they continue to deal with. We ask that you surround them with your comforting arms and bring them peace today. May they come to know the hope that only you can offer and provide. Help us not to take the freedom that we have for granted, but to cherish it and use it according to your almighty will. Be with those who mourn the loss of their loved one. Strengthen those who continue to serve today, and grant us hearts that are filled with great gratitude for what they have given. Give us the grace to make us responsible stewards. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father Zukas. For those of you that like to seat, please have a seat and be seated. And next to the podium will be Staff Director from Representative Richard Haggerty's office, Zach DeWall. Zach.
Thank you, Mr. Valerie. Good morning, everyone. I'll be reading the proclamation from the Governor's Office. Whereas, in the aftermath of the Civil War, communities across the nation gathered to honor the soldiers who had given their lives, marking the first Decoration Day. And whereas, following World War I, the nation again united to honor those who died in service to our country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last day in May, is a time to remember and honor the men and women who gave their lives in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas, throughout our history, thousands of Massachusetts residents have answered the call to serve, defending our nation, our freedoms, and our way of life. And whereas their courage, sacrifice, and devotion to duty represent the very best of the Commonwealth and continue to inspire generations. And whereas we must pause to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice and recommit ourselves to honoring their legacy through service, unity, and gratitude. Now, therefore, I, Mara T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 25th, 2026 to be Memorial Day, and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston this first day of May in the year 2026, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 249th, signed by Mara T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth, and Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, and William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dwell. Next to the dais will be our custodian of soldiers and sailors' graves, Ray Boyd.
General Logan's Memorial Day Order. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will, in their own way, arrange set fitting services and testimonials to respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind of fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their rest a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their deaths the tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation could add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of their slain defenders. Let no wanton tread rudely o'er such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, I shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remain to us. Let us then at this time appointed together around the sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us rise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us in this solemn presence renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom have left among us a sacred charge upon a nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept up from year to year, while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to to lend its friendly aid in bringing to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. General Logan's Memorial Day Order.
Thank you, Ray. At this time, Reading Memorial High School Band will play America the Beautiful. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome Town Manager Jane Wellman and thank her for her continued support of our veterans and military families and the Reading community. Jane?
Thank you, Will. Good morning and welcome. I stand before you today with immense pride, humility, and deep gratitude. On this Memorial Day, our community gathers to remember and honor the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to this nation. Their sacrifice is the foundation upon which our freedoms stand. Reading is a town steeped in history, resilience, and community spirit. From the halls of Reading Memorial High School to the quiet corners of our neighborhoods and to the contemplative field of Memorial Park, the stories of those who served and those who never returned home are woven into the fabric of our town. Their legacy shapes who we are and reminds us of the extraordinary costs of the freedoms we enjoy. This is my first Memorial Day as town manager, and I am grateful to our Veterans Agent Will Valier for inviting me to speak this morning. Through my professional work and my personal connections with those who wear the uniform, I have developed a profound appreciation for the heroes from Reading who left their homes to defend our values, protect our democracy, and safeguard a future they would never see. Their courage inspires us all. To the families of the fallen, the spouses who endured long nights without word, the parents who bore unimaginable worry, and the children who grew up with only memories, your sacrifice is forever part of Reading's heart. Our gathering today is a tribute beyond the flag you wish you didn't have, or that gold star in the window for someone who will never return home. We honor you today and every day. I also want to extend heartfelt thanks to the staff and volunteers who placed flags across the town's 4 cemeteries this week. Your care, your time, and your dedication ensure that every fallen hero from Reading is remembered with dignity and respect. These quiet acts of service reflect the very best of our community. Memorial Day calls upon each of us to reflect not only on the lives lost, but on the responsibility we share to uphold the principles they died defending. And reflection alone is not enough. We honor them best through action. So today I ask each member of our community to take a meaningful step forward, volunteer with a local organization, support a veteran or military family, attend community events that preserve our shared history, teach your children why this day matters. Look for opportunities, big or small, to strengthen the bonds that hold our town together. These acts of service and connection are how we keep the memory of our fallen alive. The town of Reading will continue its unwavering commitment to honor our fallen heroes, not only through ceremonies like today's, but through our daily work to build a community worthy of their sacrifice. In closing, let us do more than simply say thank you. Let us remember, let us reflect, and let us act together so that the values of our fallen heroes died protecting continue to thrive here in Reading. Their bravery, their love of country, and their ultimate sacrifice are our shared legacy. By carrying their stories forward, we ensure they are never forgotten. We express our deepest gratitude to those who laid down their lives in service to our nation. May Reading forever remain a place that remembers, honors, and upholds the ideals for which they fought. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. At this time, I'd like to recognize the Vice Chair of Reading Select Board, Karen Rose Gillis, for being with us here today and her continued service to our community. Karen?
Thank you, Will. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for braving the weather. On this solemn Memorial Day, we gather to honor the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our country. Memorial Day is more than the beginning of summer or a long weekend. It is a day of remembrance, gratitude, and reflection. We gather not only as individuals, but as a community that has a long history of showing up for our nation. Since Reading residents joined the revolution after the first shots were fired at Lexington, our neighbors and friends have continued to support our values with their commitment to our country. The people we are remembering today were not strangers. They were extraordinary sons and daughters, moms and dads, neighbors, classmates, and teammates who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. They were all part of communities just like ours. Memorial Day is personal. We all know of someone who served when asked, who defended when necessary. We know the stories of courage, the love of country, and the families who have carried on despite unimaginable loss. And while the weight of that loss can feel very heavy, I think it also reminds us of something very powerful, that we're all connected. And that's why it matters that we show up, not just today, but every day. We must live lives worthy of their sacrifice. We must care for their families, support their fellow veterans, and strengthen the bonds that tie us together. That is how a community honors its heroes, by standing shoulder to shoulder, by lifting each other up, and by continuing the work of building a more just, free, and compassionate nation. As we enjoy time with loved ones this Memorial Day, let us also pause to remember those who made that freedom possible. May we live in a way that honors their legacy, with compassion, unity, and service to others. It is important that it is more than looking back. It's about carrying forward the values they fought for. Things like service, courage, loyalty, and yes, community. It's about being the kind of town, the kind of country that they believed was worth fighting for. Being connected is what community is all about. We are all members of many communities, Reading and nearby, school districts in town, places of worship, town sports and the arts, town committees and services organizations. So as we stand here together, let's just not remember the fallen. Let's also remind each other what we're capable of when we stand side by side. Let's look out for veterans and military families. Let's teach our kids why this day matters. And let's keep showing up for each other, not just once a year, but always. Thank you for being here, thank you for remembering, and thank you for being part of this community.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We appreciate those words. At this time, I'd like to give a warm welcome to a man, Captain, retired, United States Navy. Most of you and some of you know him as former pastor at St. Agnes? Athanasius. I stand corrected. Both. Let's see it. I'd like you to welcome Father Captain retired Stephen Rock.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, especially with the rain. A couple of weeks ago, Sergeant Major said to me, "Now you're going to be in charge of the weather." And I reminded him, no, I'm a chaplain. I'm in sales and not management. That's somebody else's job. But thank you for being here. I mean, it's a tribute that you've been here for the past half hour or so. and it really gives honor to our fallen veterans. We gather today as we pause to honor and remember the brave men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Memorial Day is more than a date in the calendar. It's a solemn reminder of freedom and the courage that those who stood in its defense. It calls us to remember a simple truth: freedom is never free. We are privileged to live in a nation founded on the ideals of liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. While we are not perfect, we remain a nation capable of building something better. Those ideals, grounded in our founding documents, have been safeguarded by generations of Americans who have answered the call to serve, often at great personal cost. Today we reflect on their selflessness and express our deepest gratitude for their commitment. We remember them. Have you seen in the local news the last couple of nights the view of the 37,000 flags down at Boston Common? An impressive sight as they honor all those who have fallen in service of the country from our Revolutionary War to today. Incredible. And they represent their willingness to keep us free. And they gave their lives in that service. Let us never forget that behind every name etched in stone is a story. A family that grieves, a community that remembers, and a legacy that endures. The sacrifices of our fallen heroes still inspire us to work for a better and more peaceful future, to cherish the freedoms they fought to protect. Try to make a conscious effort to remember them and their families. Offer them a prayer of gratitude as we remember them. Sergeant Major asked me to share a few stories. And as all veterans know, there's never a shortage of stories. And for me, as priest, it was a toss-up of making a sermon or stories. I'm going with the stories today. Some people wonder about the role of the chaplain in the military. Yes, we are clergy in uniform, but we also live, sweat, and pick off ticks and chiggers while sharing in the adventure and danger of our servicemen and women, sometimes living in shelter halves. Yesterday afternoon, I received a call from a family of a 102-year-old Navy veteran, World War II, who served on the USS New Jersey in both the Atlantic and the Pacific. They wanted a Navy chaplain to come and anoint him and to assist him on his journey to the next life. I was honored to fulfill this request, and what a visit it was. It reminded me of the call that I received in 1983 when the Marine barracks in Beirut was bombed by terrorists. The Marines needed a chaplain to accompany them as they informed the families of the deaths of their Marines. It was the most difficult night of my life, visiting these families in the middle of the night, trying to comfort them. What made it even harder is I personally knew 2 of these Marines. It was a long and exhausting night, and a week later I was on a plane flying to Beirut, Lebanon, to join these guys there in Lebanon and also to accompany them on the way back to Camp Lejeune. This is what chaplains do. While serving on an aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean, during an exercise with our European allies, we lost a jet one night and no one survived. My fellow chaplains and I were kept busy planning a memorial service and providing comfort to many sailors and Marines who were grieving the loss of very close friends. The entire ship was affected. We remembered them. In 1999, while stationed with Marines in Okinawa, I had the privilege of traveling to Iwo Jima with 20 young Marines. As we drove around the island, we were all in awe of the sacrifices made on that small island so many years before. Admiral Nimitz famously said of the Marines in this battle, "Uncommon valor is a common virtue." Throughout the day, the young Marines told me they could never do what these Marines had done. Later at the cemetery, I was asked to say a few words. Remembering what these young men had been saying, I reminded them to take a look at the dates of the births and deaths of these Marines that had fallen on the crosses and on the Stars of David. They were the same age as the young men with me on that trip. These young men, like the fallen, are young, willing, and courageous. And at that moment, we remembered them. 2 years later, I was stationed in Naples, Italy, and was on leave in Normandy with 2 other Navy chaplains on that fateful September 11th. The world was in shock as they watched the news, the 2 planes crashing into the trade towers in New York City. And when the French realized that we were American servicemen, their grief and gratitude poured out to us as they remembered what had been done for them by Americans in World War II. Last year, I returned again to Normandy during the week of June 6th on a Band of Brothers tour with Navy and Marine friends. Reenactors were everywhere. Paratroopers, vintage World War II vehicles, parachute jumps, and even a group of Rosie the Riveters. In the little town of San Maria Glace, where a U.S. paratrooper got hung up in the steeple and hung there throughout the battle in the town, I asked a group of reenactors there, all who were around 30 years old, why did you guys come? They were from Holland, and they said they were there because their fathers had been reenactors, and their grandparents had never forgotten the freedom the Allies, and especially the Americans, helped secure for them. Even today, many European families adopt the graves of our fallen soldiers, sailors, airmen. They visit the graves. They decorate the graves. They're in contact with families back here in the States and keep in touch with them as they honor their memory. They remember. These towns remember. It's a sad truth that many today have forgotten the sacrifices made for our freedom, and that our sense of shared patriotism is not as strong as it was once before. Yours is evident today because you're still standing here in the rain. Thank you. Perhaps, though, as we mark 250 years since our nation's founding, we can recover what President Lincoln called us to in the Gettysburg Address. He did more than honor the fallen. He called the nation, North and South, to remember its founding principles. He did it by connecting the Civil War to the Declaration of Independence. He reminded us that our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, and that the work of forming a more perfect union must remain at the heart of who we are. But too many Americans, instead of honoring, remembering, and strengthening who we are as a people, today is a day for barbecues. Not so much. And celebrating the beginning of summer. Again, where is it? For us, though, as we lay wreaths, raise our flags, and observe moments of silence, let us also pledge to keep our fallen's memory alive, not just today, but every day. May we honor their legacy by supporting our veterans, caring for their families, and standing united in the values that they defended. Let us remember. It's important that we come together on national holidays like this because these civic ceremonies bind us together as a people and remind us of what it means to be an American. Thank you for gathering on this rainy Memorial Day, and with gratitude and respect for those who gave everything for our country, let us remember them. I'll close with a final stanza from the poem called Bury Me with Soldiers. So bury me with soldiers, please, though much maligned they be. Yes, bury me with soldiers, for I miss their company. We will not soon see their like again. We have all had our fill of war, but bury me with men like them till someone else does more. God bless you. God bless our fallen heroes, their families, and the United States of America.
Thank you, Captain Rock. At this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Jill Mayberry to read the Roll of Honor. Jill?
Good morning. The Call of Honor is a list of Reading veterans who have died this year. Lionel Dube, John Buckley, Leonard Hoyt, George Moore, William McCarthy, Francis Connolly, Neil Cade, Robinson Rummel, Michael Schaefer, Michael Uva, Edward Barbalio, Raymond Gardner, Frank Interrante, William Locke, William Downey, Richard Lucchini, Adelard Everton, James Matrano, Thomas Castine, Joseph Champa, Peter Doherty, Francis Smith Jr., John Holland. May they rest in peace.
It's raining, it's wet, and you're tired of standing here. So I am not going to delay this any longer. You all remain rise to the playing of taps. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremonies here at Laurel Hill. The next ceremony will be held over at Forest Glen at 10:45, give or take a few minutes with the rain and set up for our individual cemetery crew to get over to the other cemeteries. I would like to thank you again on behalf of the town manager and the select board vice chair for being here on this rainy day to recognize our fallen. It is a tribute to the community, and I thank you for showing up to pay your respects, to honor those that have fallen. Thank you.
Are you?
I will definitely do that. Good to see you.
Thank you.